You are going back to another Sweet 16. You did it with a pair of double-digit wins over the ACC champs and then the Big Ten champs, and you did not sneak in. There was no magic. You just dominated two very good teams. So how are you doing, and what's the mood around the team right now?
You know what, Jim, we're doing great. And I think I talked to you this before about it's so much mentality, man, coming into this thing, not just being, happy to be in it. We just have had this chip on our shoulder about we're chasing, and we believe we to be here and believe we're going to win. And, we do. We got the first round, we got the ACC tournament champs. Second round, we got the Big Ten tournament champs. Third round, we got the Pac-12 tournament champs. We got 3 Power 5 tournament champions. But we said to ourselves, we're the Missouri Valley tournament champs. We're hot too. But yesterday was a big day for our state. Basketball is so big there, and to have 2 ranked teams in Illinois, that hasn't happened in a long time. And then to go at it for that berth, and then for us to get the win, that was huge for our program, our city of Chicago, and for our fan base. I mean, just to see that and to sustain this thing. We only got 2 guys from that Final Four team left. Everybody else is new. So to be able to get back to this stage yet, we're excited.
It really is amazing. Porter Moser joining us. You said a lot of things that I want to follow up on, but let me ask you this. I mean, we could talk a lot about yesterday's game, but the thing that is the most obvious to me is it did not feel like an upset at all, and it didn't feel like you guys had 48 hours to prepare for that game either. It felt to me, at least on the outside looking in, that you had been preparing for that game all season long. Is there something to that, and did that feel like a game in a moment that you have been building towards and not something you had to do on quick turnaround?
You know what? It's for our defense. We build our defense, all year long, and so we can decide. We got smart guys. We've changed coverages a lot. We've changed coverages based on on the floor and certain guys, and our guys are used to that. When we play Drake and we have a certain ball screen coverage for one guy and a certain for another, and our guys pick it up. And we kind of did that yesterday. So it wasn't like we just threw in something new. We just have a lot of different things in our package that we can go to that the guys can pick up. And I thought our big boy, Cameron Krutwig, everyone knows about his offense and his passing, but I thought he played really good defense. Because think about this assignment. I said, all right, they're going to set 1 million NBA-type ball screens. So Io DeSumo is an All-American, so you really got to bottle up him. And then, by the way, when you roll back down on the post, it's Kofi Copeland. He's another All-American. You got to roll back down. So he was all over the place. And the guys really believe in our defense. They really believe we can create offense with our defense. And, because we want to run. And I think these guys believed it. I think we did a really good job stopping their transition, too, yesterday.
Porter Moser is joining us. I was going to follow you there and ask you about that defense, and I'll double back, but I got to ask you about the big fella. Cameron Krutwig had another massive game yesterday. Now, you obviously have known how special he is for a long time, but how much does it mean to you to have him getting this moment in the spotlight, and now the rest of the country gets to appreciate just how good he is?
I think so much of coaching, too, is getting a feel for guys. And I know Krut. He's such a great kid, and there was so much being made. Like, he was All-American. Krutwig was both those guys were All-Americans. And so I knew I just wanted him just not to be worried. So about 30 minutes before the game, I was just in his ear about, a lot through the recruiting process and everything. I said, hey, first game, I spread everyone out. I gave him the ball at the free throw, and we set flares, and I said, just go one-on-one first play of the game. I spread and heck, he just got him juiced up. He got moving, and he went, and he scored. And I just thought that his mindset from that point on was just attack, confidence. And I thought he just had a great game.
We're talking to Porter Moser. He did, too. Now, you and I have talked in the past about the pressure that comes along with being in a league where you're only guaranteed one spot and it goes to the conference tournament champion. I'm curious, because of that, in a way, does the pressure actually ease somewhat once you get into the NCAA tournament, or are you just used to it by now?
100%. It's alleviated. We felt that elephant in the room in 2018 when we finally won it. Those 3 games in the Missouri Valley were so tight. And, once we won it, we just felt loose. And you get into this tournament, and you just got to believe. You got to have the mentality. I'm just not happy to be here. You got to enjoy it. But when it's time to lock in, you've got to lock in and believe and prepare. And our guys do a great job with that. We have a ton of fun with our guys. We're really loose. We enjoy each other. But when it's time to walk through in a ballroom, watch film, break it down, these guys are locked in. They believe. They're pushing each other. And I think that's just a big part of it, of being loose. is going with that approach.
Porter Moser joining us. You know, the guys, they do look loose, but they're intense at the same time. It seems kind of counterintuitive, but you can be both those things. Now, from the conversations you and I have had over the years, I always appreciated the fact that you have a process and there's a very thoughtful approach behind everything you do. So I'm curious, how are you approaching these days in the bubble? Because it is such an unusual situation and the stakes are so very high.
Jim, there's no question. So we just moved right across. They had half the teams in the Marriott and half the teams in the JW, and then now it's whittled down. So we just literally moved 30 minutes ago right across the street into the other Marriott. And they have you in this bubble that you can't go outside except maybe a 30-minute. I feel like we're going, hey, you get your 30-minute prison yard walk. You know, you get 30 minutes outside. And so last week there was just a lot going on. We had to go to quarantine like almost till Monday night, and then the game. But now this week, this is where you got to be really intentional and creative, whether you're going to go outside and try to play, whether it's some kind of a wiffle ball or something, just to keep them going. We're really brainstorming right now because it's a long week. We don't play now until Saturday, and you got your practice time, your lifting time. They got some class Zooms they're on, but it's not a lot of time to go outside. They got a really tough bubble, and that's the difference. You know, I think the NCAA's done a great job here. The testing's really organized. Everything's really organized. But the one thing about the NBA bubble is they were in Orlando. There was a lot of things they could do outside, you know, and really mentally have an escape. And I think that's what I think a lot of these coaches were kind of talking about, is trying to make sure these kids mentally have an escape, that we're not inside for the second straight week.
Yeah, so, Porter, to that point, I was going to ask you, what's it like? I mean, easy for everybody on the outside to say, what's the big deal? You know, you're at the NCAA tournament. It's a dream come true. But it is a big deal, and it's really challenging. Like, how much of a challenge is that, and how much of a burden is that for those kids not to be able to really leave their room for more than 30 minutes at a time? What kind of a mental drain is that on them?
Well, I first want to say we're grateful. I mean, we're so grateful they got the tournament. I mean, that's the first thing. So I don't want to come across like we're complaining.
Sure.
I mean, last year all those teams got shut down. So the fact that we're having this, it's awesome. The fact they had fans yesterday. But the reality is it is different. So yesterday we won. It was funny. I'm going all over the map here. But we won against Georgia Tech the first night, and I'm out there thanking the fans. First time I've seen fans pretty much all year. And my guys kind of ran into the locker room. I'm like, where the hell did everyone go? You know, because we were the last time we were really out there. So yesterday we won. We were all going nuts, congratulating everybody. And also they ran in, and Cameron Krutwig was going to do a live thing with Tracy Wolfson. And I brought the guys back out. I go, get out of here, man. I want this etched in your memory. So that's from April to November, how hard you're working. These are the enjoyment. Get behind Krutwig, man. Be on TV with those guys. Then we went around and thanked all the fans again, and we spent about another 20 minutes out there because that's what's fun. But what's different then is then we left, and they whisked us back to the hotel, back up into our floor. And, like, last time we get back to the hotel, there was, like, a parade, all the friends and family. You got to hang. You couldn't hang with any friends or family. We could not. You could wave to them up in the stands, but then you cannot have any contact. They won't let my wife and kids near me. Nobody's near anybody. They just whisk you away.
It's so challenging. We saw Mick Cronin and the emotional moment he had after UCLA beat Michigan State. He hadn't seen his dad in a year. And then when you talk about, Porter, the buy-in that the kids have, the chemistry they have, I looked on, I thought that whole BYU scene before they played was so amazing. You know, they got their kid out of an elevator and the COVID dance they had. I mean, you could tell the chemistry and the love and the bond that they had for one another. You have that on your team. How valuable is that, and how does that translate on the floor?
Man, it means everything. When you got that brotherhood and that bond, and they're playing for each other, and the name in the front of the jersey, they're playing something bigger than themselves. But I did find that BYU video hilarious. I thought that was awesome. Super creative and super. You could tell they were connected too. But I really, that's what's so fun about building a program, is the journey, the people you're with, and it's intentional on our part. I mean, you want to build a family atmosphere. You want to have that bond because that's what makes it more worthwhile. And to be honest with you, that's what makes you a better team. And it's really cool. We have that on our team, and you saw that on their team they had as well.
We're talking to Porter Moser for a few more moments. Now, I had Oral Roberts head coach Paul Mills on the show last week. He was talking about the influence that Rick Majerus had on him. You and I have talked about Coach Majerus in the past. As you've continued to have success, what are the lessons or maybe the ideas from Rick that resonated the most and stick out to you the most?
Well, let's just say the one most, like, our whole defense, there's all these little terms that Rick used, and like let's just take transition defense. That was one of the top keys for against Illinois. We knew we had to get back. So there's a lot of things, little teaching points. He says they got to see 6 eyes, 6 arms. So what that means, there's got to be 3 guys, making a wall so that they shrink the floor. Then get back on the air time of the shot. That's a little phrase. That means so when one of your guys shoots it, if you're one of the guys back, you got to sprint back, because you can't have transition defense on your heels. You cannot stop Illinois and IU DeSumo if you're running backpedaling. They'll blow by you. So you have to get back on the air time of the shot, have a resistance point. So it's more than just his attention to detail was so off the rails that it's really just it's been so good for me. But because instead of just saying get back, transition D, we got to stop the ball. There's a lot of things that go into that. And for him, that was all those teaching points: 6 eyes, 6 arms, air time of the shot, resistance point, a shadow. I mean, there's all these little things. And I thought last night that was one of our keys to the win as well, is we never really let them get going in transition or downhill in ball screens.
No doubt. Porter Moser joining us. Porter, allow me to do my job here for a minute. I've got a feeling I know how you're going to answer this one, but your name's already coming up for other jobs. At the same time, you are from this area, and I know very clearly what it means for you to be in that city and the way the city has embraced you and the program the way they have. Do you feel like you might have to leave to accomplish everything you want to accomplish, or can you do it all right where you are?
I think there's a little both. I feel I can do it right where I are, but it doesn't mean I'll ever leave, because I think, that's just part of it. I am totally entrenched in this. I asked 110% of my players, and they're getting 110% of Porter Moser, but it has been going crazy, but that means we're doing well. But, what I do know is that this program, and it's just not one person. It's not me. To take a program from where, they had 28 losing seasons out of 30, and now where we're at, it takes a wide spread of people. My athletic director, Steve Watson, phenomenal. Everybody in my coaches, there's so many people that have pulled in the right direction at Loyola. So it's exciting where we were and where we are, but and we want to win a national championship. I want to, you want to do that. So I'm just really happy with where we're going and totally entrenched with this tournament.
I respect and appreciate that answer very much. So a final thought, you had a vision for it, and the vision has come together. I used to have the same exact conversation with Mark Few all the time, because people were frequently hammering away about him getting other jobs, and he kept saying, listen to what I'm saying. I love it where I am. I love Gonzaga. I love the lifestyle. I can accomplish anything I want right where I am. And believe me, years ago I stopped asking the question because he made that very clear. I know you want to have your own vision for your own program. Is there any part of you that feels like you're in the process of turning Loyola into a version of Gonzaga?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of similarities. The Jesuit thing, being happy with the community, just how the fan base has just been, rabid all over for their basketball. And you want to get to the point, I think, what's happening nowadays in this current climate. It'll be interesting because Mark's got it going so well that their non-conference schedule, he can build a resume to really get an at-large bid every year, because he's playing so many. His recruiting, he's in the house of 5-star kids and 4-star kids and some of the best international kids. And for right now, it's so hard with the scheduling piece to get games, to get a resume, to get an at-large bid. So that's what puts a pressure on a lot of coaches to stay where they are, is the pressure of a league that doesn't get more than one bid. But a good sign, the Missouri Valley, we were going to get an at-large bid. Drake just got an at-large bid, so we had 2 this year. That's a good sign moving forward. And we just got to get to that. Coaches sometimes feel that that's 3 days. They can have a great season, and it comes down to 3 days in their conference tournament. And that sometimes is a little challenging to be thinking your whole season comes down to 3 days. But I love the direction of the Missouri Valley getting more than one team in this year.